Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Wave of Change. I'm really excited here again. I got another great guest, Timothy Hughes. Timothy, how are you?
I'm well, Tony. I've been really looking forward to this.
Awesome. Well,
You're
Tim,
full of energy. You're all over social. Your content's fantastic. So the fact that you've asked me on here, it can only go down really for you. You know, it's.
oh yeah, I might have peaked early with you on here. I'm so happy to have you as a guest. It's awesome.
And by the way, that's my English dry sense of humor for people that may not understand that.
Well, right, and of course, as a Commonwealth, we have this cousin connection on the humor front. Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up watching Benny Hill as a kid on the three channels we had late at night, right? So we certainly relate. Yeah.
So they used to. I actually live near where that was filmed in West London.
Wow. And my dad, who's a Lutheran minister, back in the day looked a little bit like Benny Hill, and they made jokes at the church, and he even put on at the church a spoof about Benny Hill. So it was kind of funny and a little edgy in the Lutheran community there. Yeah. So Tim is like, he's all over social media. I mean, he doesn't need much of an introduction, but if you're looking at social media selling, social selling, you're going to see Tim. He is out there. He's the #1 ranked individual in the world on this. And I'm, excited to chat with him today. And Tim, we're going to start off like with all guests, right?
Yeah.
I want to get a little story about, when you first got interested in technology. What first piqued your interest?
Well, I did electronic engineering at university. I did the usual thing that my parents said: do what you enjoy, and I always enjoyed sciences, and I just sort of like went through and ended up doing engineering. And I happened to be I went out onto the job market in the 80s, and there was a massive pool of people wanting or need of people to go into the IT sector, and I just ended up. I got a graduate placement on. The company doesn't exist anymore, but it used to be that there was only one UK big IT company, which was International Computers Limited, or ICL. And I got on the grad scheme there, and it was amazing. They taught me how to present, time management, business, all kinds of stuff, and it was just fantastic. And I didn't realize I was actually building a network of people as well. But that got me interested, and then from there I went into sales, and the rest is history, really.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm curious just a little bit along the way of your interest and your passion in social selling, and now how you've really embraced that further. You put out so much great content on it, right? And from a technology perspective and all this great emerging tech that's coming, available with advanced intelligent cloud, with artificial intelligence analytics, machine learning. All these different things that really contribute to having more information and being able to scrape more data and pull more meaningful information, into organizations or to be used. I'd really like to get an understanding, like your journey and path along that way, and what kind of things you're kind of doing to embrace that and bring that into the market.
So I got involved in social. I've been on, it's my 11th year on Twitter coming up in April. So I've been in social for nearly 11 years. And I really sort of played around with it. But I did realize that I didn't want to be involved in what I was doing. I used to work for a big American software company. And I was selling accounting products. We were moving to the cloud, which was great, but I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. I actually wanted to sit on podcasts and talk to Canadians about social media. And I joke, but actually, it's very true. We did so we actually went through a massive sales transformation. What we found was that we were used to selling on premise, and now we had to sell cloud, and the sales force wasn't really ready for it. So we actually took the the sales force through a massive business process transformation, where we taught them storytelling. We told them to throw away PowerPoints and do whiteboarding. And we had, at the time, it was fairly rudimentary social selling. That was back in 2014. In 2015, I wrote my first book, which came out in 2016, Social Selling Techniques to Influence Buyers and Changemakers, which is still available on Amazon and is available on Audible. It's a bestseller now. And it's got, I don't know, 40, nearly 50 five-star reviews on Amazon. And then things sort of took off. I met my now co-founder at Oracle, and we decided to start up DLA Ignite. And we started off as a social selling company, and now we actually pivoted in September to being an end-to-end business transformation company using social. So we started with social selling, and now we've got social human resources, we've got social procurement, social marketing, and we're transforming companies using social media. So it's not software; it's transforming the people and the process.
Right. So you're working with those different individuals to transform them to be able to utilize the social selling more from a social media perspective and collectively bring that together.
Yeah, so we're transforming sales teams as well as transforming human resources teams and procurement teams. But if we stick to sales, because it's probably easier for people to understand, it's about getting them to understand that they need to use social. So it is our belief that the world has changed,
right? For sure.
And social isn't a glitch or something that's going to go away. It's fundamentally changed society. So you turn on the news here in the UK, and someone's tweeted this and someone's tweeted that. Never have you actually been in a situation where the President of the United States can actually talk directly to people, and people can talk directly to him. Now, you may not like that, but the fact of the matter is that's the society that we live in. And if we want to buy something, all we have to do is get our mobile phone out. We can be sitting in a cafe on a Saturday and go, should we go to Iceland next weekend? Oh yeah, that's a good idea. How do we do that? Okay, well, you look at the flights and I'll look at the hotels, and we can make decisions and buy things without talking to salespeople. And that can be actually for even, there's a lot of salespeople will go, oh yeah, but I'm okay because what you have to buy is a considered purchase. Really? I mean, I'm as part of my prospecting, I've gone on and I review companies, and I check to see whether they're using social. Yeah. And I judge those companies about how they look, both the companies and the individuals. And so the fact that people think that their customers don't seem to have one of these and are doing the same thing is beyond belief. So from a social perspective, people are using social strategically within their organization. I'm not talking about tactically. There's a lot of people just posting stuff and hoping something will happen. What we do is that we help organizations strategically to use social to enable them to support their brand, to reduce their sales cycle, to increase their revenues. All of those things we help organizations do.
Right, and I think you touch a really valid point and why it's certainly applicable to 2020 and where emerging capabilities are going. And really on social platforms, they are so much more enabled and eased to use on a public level that there are all those hooks, and there certainly is a level of understanding in order to navigate and utilize them effectively. Right?
Yeah. You've got to remember that social is we're social animals.
Yeah.
Ever since that we realized that if we work together while we were on the Serengeti, that we were less likely to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. We formed languages and we're used to working together. We formed clubs, communities, unions, you name it. That we're always coming together as individuals. Social allows us to do that. It also allows us to communicate in a frictionless way. If I phone somebody up, I've got to know their telephone number. I've then got to type it into the phone. I then ring you up and you're not there. And then I leave a voicemail, and the whole thing just takes too much time. Whereas what we're able to do with social is I'm able to contact you at 8 o'clock. You know, we're on different time zones.
Yeah.
So I'm able to contact you at 8 o'clock my time. You may answer it. I'll have the answer in the morning. But the fact of the matter is, it's easy and it's frictionless.
Yeah.
And the people that are that are growing up with this, especially millennials. You know, remember the oldest millennial is now 30.
Exactly.
These people are used to using social and mobiles to actually transact, research things, and actually find things and buy things all online. And they want a frictionless process. And social provides them with that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's a valid point, and it certainly contributes to how we can interact real easy like this across the globe, right? And it is much more at the social level. And where did you ever think that the US would be driven by tweets?
Yeah, I know. And I know, and I realize that people this is not a political thing, and I realize that we're in danger of going down a path. But the fact of the matter is that we are, that actually it was Obama, the first time he got in, not the second time, that used social media as a way to reach out to people to energize the vote for him. And that was, we've had two, so that's 10 years ago, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've had the Arab Spring, we had the ILS bucket challenge where people poured ice over their heads. These things have been going on for a long time. We've had social a long time, and it enables you to build these tribes and these communities. It also enables you to build up your relationships. And what we're able to do is show people how they can actually scale their sales process, because you can touch more people. I mean, if we take, sales has changed so much that, if you've got, Gartner reckon that there's about, for the average B2B enterprise sale, there's probably 10 people involved. You don't know who those 10 people are. But if we go back to the raw amount of sales, is whenever there's a decision, there will be a meeting, and people will say, okay, we've got these two solutions. What do we want? Do we want Tony's solution or do we want Tim's solution? And people will put their hand up. Yeah. And what you've got to do as a salesperson is been around and met all of those people, built a relationship with all those people, and got them to say, I'm going to vote for Tim's solution. And the only way that you can do it at scale is through social. You can't do that by basically calling people and pissing them off.
No, it's true. And it really allows you to strategically kind of have a more target account selling plan, right? Where you can really expand the net, because ultimately you are right. There's like a number of people that influence that decision, and then there's ultimately one that makes that decision, right?
Yes.
So obviously, however, the further more people you can have on your side, the better chance you have you're going to win Survivor and stay on the island, basically, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So, from working in the space and leveraging social media and driving those campaigns and that message out there, just at a general level, what are some lessons learned or things you've seen, or a good place for organizations that aren't really doing anything, just even to start?
I think the most important point is that people need to understand that this is about earned media, not bought media. There's a lot of people that are spending money on advertising. So what we're seeing is that the advertising revenues are going up. And the reason why they're going up is because it doesn't work. People are having to spend more and more money on advertising just for me to ignore it. Mm-hmm. And so to get the same results, they're spending more and more money. And they think they're doing social because they're buying Facebook ads or whatever. That's not social, it's advertising. And it's no more. If I buy a signage at a football game, that doesn't make me a football player or a football manager. It makes me an advertiser. And so the key thing is that you will need to get earned media. Now, earned media is easy to get. You just need to follow three things. The first and foremost is that you need a personal brand. That sounds difficult. It's actually your shop window into the world. If people walk past your profile And I recommend anybody who watches this or listens to it basically to come to my LinkedIn profile. My LinkedIn profile is what you need to have. It's I don't want to sound boastful, but it's a story of my life. You know, by reading it, you should get a feel for who I am, what I stand for, what my ideals are, what my beliefs are, what my skills are. It's not a CV. It's a story of my life, and that is a small investment of your time, because once you've got it up there, you've got it up there for as long as you want. The next thing is you need to have a network. So most people have got contacts, which is you've probably got people that you've worked with and recruitment consultants. That isn't a network. That's what you need to do, is take your existing territory and put that onto LinkedIn. So all of your prospects, all of your clients, all the people that you would like to sell to, you need to connect to them. The third thing is you need content. And the reason why you need content is because that, as buyers, is what we're looking for. We're looking for authenticity. So we're looking for you as an individual. I want to understand your why, not what. So everybody, I don't want to hear that you're an energetic, tenacious salesperson, because everybody's an energetic, tenacious salesperson.
Yeah.
If you look at my summary title on LinkedIn, I bet you've not seen anything like that before.
For sure.
And that's I get people connecting to me. I got someone from Canada actually today, and I'm now in a conversation with them, and I'm hopefully going to sell them something.
Well, there you go.
Purely using my summary title as a mechanism for someone to come to me, and when we then engage in a conversation, just like we're having a conversation now.
Absolutely.
So what we're looking for is authenticity. We're also looking for authenticity in content. So it shouldn't be an advert. It should help me. It should provide insight and education. So you've read my blogs. My blogs never tell you anything about us as a company.
No.
What it provides you with is if you want to run a social selling program, you can read all of our 1,000 blogs that we've produced over the last 3.5 years, and you can implement a social selling program. Or you could hire us to come in and do it for you. But the fact of the matter is, if you're a person that's interested in that, what we're doing is we're demonstrating our expertise by sharing that skill set in the content. So
absolutely, yes.
Just remember that this is not about you. This is about your buyers. So you need to be attractive to your buyers. So you need a personal brand, which is your website, your shop window. You need to have a network. These are the people that are going to be connected to you. They're going to start trusting you. They're going to buy from you, and they will also take your content and share it on. And you also need the content. And if you do all of those three things, then you will enable you to get both inbound, and you will be able to do outbound. If you don't do all those things, then you won't do it. So I know people will say, yeah, but social selling doesn't work. And you say, well, what content have you produced in the last 6 months? They say, well, nothing. Well, then it doesn't work. Then you're not social selling. All you're doing is you just put something up and you're hoping.
You're gauging it on clicks. Yeah, you're saying if I get so many clicks, it's going to be value. Well, do you really know that? I mean, that's at least some kind of judge that people are interacting with it. But I think you're going to get way more when you actually have people approaching you, right? And saying, hey, I saw this, it resonated with me, you had this story on social media, right? That's where you can track and know that you're locked and loaded. And I know I've learned a lot off your posts, absolutely, right? And
thank you.
I'll have to check your profile again, and maybe give a few tweaks in here from and there from the expert, right? I certainly appreciate the advice, and I think the viewers are the listeners as well will certainly appreciate that. What do you got going? Oh, sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, I think that we've all had that job that we only stay for 6 months if we've been in sales, and from a number of factors why it didn't work. And what you need to do in that story is it's not about your objectives or whatever, because we've all got those, and that's not interesting. The interesting bit for your buyers is what you learned. So I mean, what in that job, that was actually in the days, but we were still writing letters actually as a way of getting in front of people. It was before the internet hadn't quite caught on. And I actually I found a way of actually a methodology for writing things, which I even use today. So what you need to do is you think about the things that you've learned and how you've moved those on, and you tell a story, and that's what people will be interested in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a big storyteller myself. I did some executive crash course training years back on storytelling when I already realized I was a storyteller, right? So it just put more icing on that. And, you know, that's certainly what engages me. And, you know, what I like to do going out into the market is, you know, really seeing it in action and sharing that story. What is it doing? What's the cake on it, right? So I certainly resonate with that as well. I know you're a busy guy and you got lots of good stuff on the go. What do you got going on in the next little while? What do you got? What are you up to?
So we launched back in September our social human resources. We started off as any startup 3.5 years ago, and we had to be known for something. So we took the social selling branding. Absolutely. But we always wanted to be in a situation where we were offering end-to-end business transformation. Not like the year before, so 2018, we got our social selling programs predictable and repeatable. So every time we run it, we know that we'll get a 30% increase in incremental revenue and a 40% reduction in buyer times. And every time we run it, we know that we get that. So I got my co-founder to start looking at the next module, and we use partners. So we've got 3 partners, resellers in North America. Cool. So we went to them and we said, what module do you want us to do next? We thought they'd say marketing, and they said human resources, because and we find that in Europe and in the US, one of the biggest issues is actually finding talent and retaining talent.
And social is a way better angle. You're going to get to the younger millennials and the Zs. Yeah, they are all over that.
Yeah. So what we did was we found a guy who's he's a member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Development, CIPD, here in the UK. He's big on social, and we got him to rethink the human resources department in a social age. So a lot of human resources department currently use social, which is they'll put out job adverts on Twitter that nobody will look at. They probably even use advertising on LinkedIn, which nobody looks at. But what we've done is, as I say, we reimagined the human resources department for the social age. So we're going to market with that. We've just got someone to sign for our social marketing program. So we're going to be implementing that starting in April. And I'm currently building the social procurement module, because I've actually got experience of procurement from my selling days. So it's quite a big time for us, because we're kind of shifting from this social selling platform, which we still do and pays the rent, to actually this end-to-end social transformation company, which is what we always set up DLA Ignite to do. It's exciting times.
It certainly is, and I know there's a lot of information. You share a lot of information, and other influencers that I certainly associate with do, right? That there is this huge push in the market where social media users are growing, adopting. Like, you even look at latest stats on LinkedIn, the growth on it, right? We know from Twitter, you know, even though it's you know, pretty saturated, it still grows and it still has a lot of activity, right? And of course, you know, all the platforms, you know, so it certainly is evolving. I find it quite interesting on the business transformation front, right? So over the next few years and over the, you know, as we embrace more things, you know, I'd be curious on a few fronts as you touch into technology, you know, in your social selling program, right? You know, there's always concerns with social around cybersecurity that obviously touches technology, right? And then, you know, how how do you better utilize, you know, like I know there's automated tools you can use for social media, right? Some of them may be just pumping information out, but where do you see some value, or where do you see some things? I know even from pulling information, you know, there's some better artificial intelligence being utilized to do that, right? You know, how do you kind of envision it as you build out your organization and you're doing this amazing digital transformation with organizations?
Yeah, we're still seeing that. So I need to say that I'm 54. So when I say I'm actually talking about myself when I say old people. So, you know, we see things from. I was invited to a very large management consultancy company's press briefing, and there's a lot of people that are talking about Internet of Things, blockchain, smart cities, but that's all technology. And what they don't talk about is social. And I think, and that's because I think a lot of people that are writing these things are old people, and they don't understand the power and the transformational change that social is taking place in our society and has taken place in business. Mm-hmm. So if you look at any of I read every single document that came out about what's going to be big in this new decade over the Christmas period, and not one of them said social media. They're all talking about artificial intelligence or blockchain or IoT, and a lot of those technologies currently are solutions looking for a problem. I mean, you only have to look at IBM Einstein. I mean, they've now closed it down because they couldn't find any test cases for it, and they've moved all the team on. So we have to be very careful in so much as we can be going down a particular route for an organization when they're spending a lot of money, when actually what they can actually change is right in front of their eyes. Everybody is on social. Absolutely. Everybody knows how to use social. So this is not like I need to go and buy a new system like SAP and teach people how to use it. This is about actually having something and using something that we all know and understand, and using it in our everyday lives and getting business benefit and competitive advantage from that. And for me, that's very exciting. And you know, in my career, I've taken a number of products to market successfully, and this one is working as well. We just need to get more and more people understanding about the importance and the strategic nature of social, rather than it being something that you take pictures of your lunch and cat pictures.
Oh, but the cat pictures, those ones can go pretty viral. Yeah.
I love cat pictures.
Yeah. No, I do as well. And that's a part of the reason too. I think, you know, the social selling is hugely important just as this, you know, emerging world really embarks. You look at it from this perspective. You have all this public access really free of charge with solutions that they're evolving, right? That are certainly growing. And I think it's a big industry trend. I think if you look at just in general, right? You know, we started internet-based, and at first you could just go to a website and get some information on a company. Then you could email, right? And woo, you could email back and forth. This is pretty cool, right? And then all of a sudden you could go online and create a profile. Well, then that quickly evolved. Mobile came out, smart devices, right? Everybody's got it right on their palm. Well, it's not just about the technology in the hand. It's about the social interaction with that device. And it's also just about the social interaction overall. I know myself, I do so much cool stuff online just by interacting. And like you said, you build a tribe, right? So out of this big world of social media, right, it's easy to find your own path. It's easy to find your own kind and your own people, right? And be able to share that message. And I think that's important. And I think in you know, going forward, it's certainly, I agree with you. I think that social selling and social media is a major concern. And I think it's probably one of those underlying things that they kind of tag to advertising.
Yeah. A lot of people do think that social media is about advertising, and it's not.
Yeah.
You know, paid media is paid media. There's a saying, isn't there, that advertising is a tax on the people with very little profile.
Yeah.
And And it is. I mean, you can build a profile very, very quickly. I mean, you know, we became a global company within 2 years. We're living an amazing time from a technology perspective. You can be, all you need is a mobile, and you can create something.
Yeah.
And we believe that society is changing, and the more that we can get social media down to everybody in the world, actually it's an ability for anybody to create wealth, because all you need to do is, most people who've got mobile phones, they'll find the money to buy that, and all then it requires is your time.
It's a really good point.
And I know that the Kardashians have built billion-dollar businesses. Now, I know they're Kardashians, but that you could still build $1 million business or a $10 million business using your mobile phone and using social, and doing that globally. Yeah, and it's a massive opportunity for everybody in society.
It's very true. And I find interesting too in that, right? Like, you even think about this on bigger terms, right? You look at what SpaceX is doing, getting more satellite control out there. Facebook is talking about it, right? And they're going to really increase the number of people that can access the internet, right? So emerging technology rolls out and offers more capabilities to interact, and what it does is it enables third world to fire up online and all of a sudden have a digital identity that they've never, ever, ever had. And what are one of the first things they set up? Social. They set up their social profile, and that social profile can enable them, you're right, to build an identity, a business.
In the last quarter, 100 million people joined Facebook.
Wow.
I know people say that people are leaving it, but 100 million people joined it, and most of those were in India.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing, certainly, I'm not even sure from a social media perspective that there is a first world and a third world anymore.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine tells me a story, and this is actually a couple of years ago. He's a big soccer fan, as you would call it, big football fan. And he was having a conversation using the Wi-Fi. He was in Kenya, and using the Wi-Fi and WhatsApp, he was having a discussion about Manchester United and their chances of winning on Saturday with one of the Masai Mara.
It's crazy, eh?
And the thing is that where there's this belief that that maybe the first world are the only people with social. Everybody has it, mm-hmm. and if people don't, I mean, as a millennial said to me, if someone isn't on social, what are they trying to hide? And everybody has it, and if they don't have it, then the people that work for them that have it, and it's such an influence on our lives. And now is the time that organizations need to grasp it and use it strategically within their organization to transform their business to meet the social age.
No, that's a fantastic point, and a really good point to wrap it up on, right? It just is so much really good activity going out there, and it's been so great chatting with you today, man. Like, it's good to get, it's good to get face to face, right? Like, we've been interacting back and forth, and it's certainly good to do that. And I really do appreciate the social side of it and the social selling side of it. I think it's a huge amount of value. I think it's something that salespeople should absolutely be adopting. It might be a little uncomfortable at first, but once you get comfortable with it, I mean, look at us two old guys. We're rocking it here, eh?
Yeah, it's not. We don't find age is not a. We don't find in our programs age is stopping people.
Yeah.
One of our best students is I think he's 70 something now.
Nice.
And he got it, but the thing was that he was an old school networker. He understood the swapping business cards. And he could see that this was about networking at scale. And actually it requires, because the world has changed, because we've got access to an infinite amount of information. If I interrupt you with an advert, or interrupt you with a cold call, or interrupt you with an email, it pisses you off, because you've got the ability to go and research this stuff on your mobile phone. So people are actually destroying their brand equity by doing those things, and they need to move to a permission-based sales and marketing approach, which they can get on social.
Absolutely. That's a really great point. Well,
And you
Tim.
know that and sorry, Tony.
Oh, yeah,
and you
go.
know that. You're big on social. You understand about relationships, and that it's a fantastic thing to see. And I really appreciate you asking me on your podcast today.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate it, Tim, and I look forward to learning more from you. I've certainly learned a lot, and one thing I've tried to do learning and navigating this whole social media landscape is people that are doing something right, try to figure what out they're doing, and put a little of that into your secret sauce and keep moving forward, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, hey, we're going to have to stay in touch. We're going to have to, have a future podcast, see where things are at. I can't wait to hear more about the whole, transformation right across social media. I mean, we could talk a lot about your what you uncover just from the HR vein. I think there's such a big need for that. That's a whole series itself, right? Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. I'll have all your contact in the post when I put it out there, so people will know where to get a hold of him. Again, you can get him on Twitter, and you can also get him on LinkedIn. It's easy. Just look for Timothy Hughes. You'll find him. He's #1 ranked guy out there. And thanks everyone for listening. This has been another episode of The Wave of Change. Stay tuned for further episodes. Take care.